super easy lemon pudding cake. It's one of my favorites because guess what? It's a age-old classic for a good reason. It's simple, it's delicious, it's perfect for Easter or anytime. Let's make some. A lemon pudding cake is the perfect Easter dessert. It's also just the perfect spring dessert because it's super simple. It's really basics. It's one of those things you can learn as a child and use all through life because it's so delicious. So lemon pudding cake, or some people call it baked lemon pudding, is really the same as those chocolate fudge pudding cakes. I've posted it before. It's one of my favorites because it's so simple, one of the first things I learned to make, where you have ingredients that come together, and once it bakes, it separates into a pudding layer and kind of a cakey topping. And that's what this is. So if you don't feel like going the full length and doing a beautiful lemon pie, make this lemon pudding cake. Believe me, it will make everyone happy. So to start, what I wanna do is I have my sugar for the recipe, and I'm just gonna take out, a tablespoon of it, because we're gonna use that in the egg whites here a little bit later. So I'm gonna reserve just 1 tablespoon, set it aside, and then we're gonna put our sugar right into a bowl. And I wanna make sure we get the essence and the full delicious flavor of the lemon. So we're taking the zest first, and you can see what I'm doing right here is I'm grating that zest, just the zest, just that bright yellow part, off of the top of the lemon. You don't wanna get the white pithy part, that can be kind of bitter. So you wanna just get that beautiful bright lemon, which is where all the essence and the oils, the essential oils, actually live in. And what I'm doing is I'm holding my grater upside down just to catch it all. See how it has that little tray in it? And I'm just gonna dump it over, put it right in. And once all that zest is in there, I'm just gonna use my hands and work it together. So what this does is really start releasing more of those essential oils because that sugar is abrasive and it's gonna become almost sandy in texture. That's perfectly fine. Don't let that worry you. And you will get so much better flavor doing this. So anytime you're gonna put zest in something, if you can mix it with the sugar first, big changes. It really does. It makes it, like right now, just standing here, the amount of aroma of lemon I'm getting, makes you happy and it makes you feel like spring. Even if it doesn't feel like it outside, it's kind of a gray day today, this makes you feel like it is coming. So what I have now are eggs that I've been separating. So I have the whites up here, I have my yolks in a separate bowl, and the reason we're separating them is because for this, we're gonna actually whip the whites and then put them in once they're whipped. So we wanna separate them very carefully. You don't want any of that yolk in there. And just go back and forth if you can. And once you have that big, beautiful, see there's that little bit of white, there we go. I have all my yolks down in here. I'm gonna put them right into the sugar mixture. So I'm gonna put it right down in, make sure to get all that beautiful bright yolk out. You know, quality of eggs can really affect the color of the yolk and have a more rich flavor when they have that gorgeous color. So I'm gonna mix these in and just get them to be a nice pale color with that sugar. After just like a minute or two of mixing, you can see it becomes a little bit pale in color, like a pale yellow golden color. That's because we're actually starting to mix those two together, which is exactly what you want. So I have some melted butter over here that was melted and slightly cooled. You don't want it hot because we're putting it into eggs. But I want to mix this now into this. So I'm going to put that melted butter in. This is going to add just some richness, a little bit more flavor. You know, a pudding in general, if you're going to make a stovetop pudding or whatever, should always have butter in it because that's what really drives home that flavor and that texture you want. Once the butter's in, we're going to kind of just add all the other ingredients, which are going to seem kind of odd if you haven't made one of these. We have some flour. And it's just enough flour, you're gonna notice, to set the top, but not set the bottom because you want that pudding-like texture on the bottom. A little bit of salt, you need to offset the sweetness, brings out more flavor. What we also need to do is, we need to juice our lemons. So I already was taking the zest off them as you saw, but now what we wanna do is actually add lemon juice, which is essential here. So what I'm gonna do is just actually put them in. Now, some people, just to tell you, I got a lot of things about these juicers. I do love them. It looks like from the contour, you would put it in like this. No, that's gonna squirt the juice up. You turn it upside down, and what it will do is invert that lemon and actually squeeze the juice out. You'll get much more juice. Every so often I have someone tell me like, oh no, that's not how you do it. It is. It is. And you know what? It makes a huge difference when you do it this way. So what I'm doing is juicing these lemons right into a measuring cup so I can see how much I'm getting. Because sometimes, depending on the time of year, depending on the type of lemon, you'll have different amounts. And I like to see the amount I'm putting into my recipe. So we're putting them in exactly the amount about I wanted. If it's a little bit over or under, you're fine, but you want close. We're gonna put that lemon juice right in here. So you're getting the zest, you're getting the juice. You're kind of seeing where we're going with this. And then we have some milk. I'm gonna put in whole milk. And we're doing whole milk because you've heard me say it. whole milk has more flavor. It just does, it really is a huge difference. So we're gonna stir this together, and it's gonna be a very wet mixture, but do not let that scare you. I'm gonna whisk it really well, and look at that. It comes together into a very odd, I will admit it's odd, but this is exactly what you want. Now what you wanna make sure you do too is scrape up the bottom of the bowl as you're whisking. And if you're using a glass bowl, you can of course look, but you just wanna make sure you're getting everything well combined. Now what we need to do is move on to the whites, because to finish this off, what we're gonna do is actually fold in the egg whites once they're whipped to stiff peaks. So if you haven't done that, it's really fun. It's like making a meringue. It's one of my favorite things. So we have all the egg whites in here. What I'm gonna do is start mixing them, and slowly when they get foamy, I'm gonna add in that tablespoon of sugar. It just helps them get even loftier. So at this point, you can see it's starting to get foamy. It's starting to have a little bit of volume, but it's not near done yet. So this is when I start just allowing that 1 tablespoon of reserved sugar to go into this and just mix in. It just stabilizes them, creates a more glossy, beautiful meringue. So at the end, all you wanna do is till it gets nice and thick. Like, look at that. See how it's keeping those peaks? That's all you need. This isn't making a traditional meringue or anything, so it's totally fine if it isn't perfect. So what we're gonna do now is put about, a third of it in here. And we're gonna just kind of whisk it in to start lightening this mixture. If you put it all in and beat it too hard, you kind of beat out the point of what we just did with the egg whites. So I like to take the tines of a whisk and just slowly let that work in. It will look really odd and broken at first, but you just have to kind of keep doing it. And don't feel bad about whisking it hard in at first. I think that's, we get scared, but that first third is okay to do that too, because that just kind of starts lightening the mixture, which you can tell if you're here that it's lighter and foamier. So now what we wanna do is put the rest of these in here, which we're gonna put them right in, and then what we're gonna do is fold them in. So this is the hardest part of this whole recipe. I just wonder, this is a very old, Fanny Farmer style recipe, one that's been around for ages, so you could have seen your grandmas make this, maybe you made it in a home ec class, but it still is applicable for today. It has such good flavor, it's easy, it's great for spring, for Easter. So what I'm doing is going around, I like to move my bowls, I do this, and kind of slowly just fold it in. But you do want it to get to a more even consistency. See how we have lumps all over? I don't quite want all those lumps. I want it to more have a nice, even consistency here. So I'm gonna keep doing this until it's just ready to pour in. So now you see it's a consistent, evenly beautiful mixture. Seems really odd, but this really is gonna work out to be a beautiful dish. So what I have here before I pour it in is a buttered dish. So I just took some softened butter. And the reason I like to butter it is, again, it just helps with that richness. We have some butter in it. This just helps it not stick and give it kind of that nice, easy flavor too. So we have that in there, and we're gonna just pour in this mixture. Look how, this is to me one of my favorite things, because it's like a magic trick almost, but it's also just really good. Sometimes I think we overthink dessert, especially, because we've already made a whole meal and then we get flustered and feel like we have to have this huge, beautiful dessert. And it's like, sometimes the simplest things will make people and guests the happiest. And yes, I'm extra making sure I scrape out everything. So now I'm just gonna put this into the oven, let it bake, it'll kind of become golden. We'll top it off and finish it, and we're gonna taste it. So look at this beauty. It gets beautiful golden yellow. Sometimes it develops a crack. That could be that it got slightly too hot, but don't worry, it's gonna be just delicious. I like the rustic quality of it too. Always remember when you're baking, if something gets a crack, like a pumpkin pie, like a baked lemon pudding, and you think, oh, that shouldn't be there, believe it should be there, tell everyone it should be there, and it should be there. That's the important part. So I'm gonna take a little bit of powdered sugar at the end, and I like to just lightly dust it, just for that, it's not just for more sweetness, it kind of balances everything out. We have that beautiful lemon in there. It's gonna have a little bit of tartness, so this at the end just kind of finishes it. Also kind of makes it look pretty. And I also like to put on, this is just personal preference, some toasted sliced almonds. See how that just like dresses it up just a little bit. Again, this was like a no work dessert, so we're doing the work here at the end with some extra things. You could serve it with whipped cream, you could serve it on top of ice cream so that pudding really kind of sets in, but then you just let guests, because once it's not like slices of pie. You actually have to get in there and get it out, but look here. What I want you to see is, do you see that pudding layer? Look at that beautiful layer of pudding. And then it kind of is still in here too, so we're just gonna get some more of that pudding out because I want it. And then what we're gonna do is just eat it. If you think you're not a dessert person, or like desserts just aren't for you, make this one. What I love about it, it has the intense lemon flavor of a lemon meringue pie, of a lemon bar, any other lemon dessert, but it's simple. It's kind of like no frills, it's rustic, no fuss. It could be a weeknight dessert because it's so quick, but guess what? It can also be a presentation dessert because it's delicious and everyone will be happy they have it. So what do I hope you do with this recipe? I hope you realize dessert can be for everyone and it's attainable by everyone. If I can make it, anybody can make it. And it's worth making because it's delicious. Whether for Easter, Monday night, whatever you need, make this. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe, and all my other recipes for Easter are on there. Oh, so many good recipes too. Until next time, enjoy something delicious like this dessert. You need it.